Welcome to another edition of the Paranormal Zone. I'm your co-host, Tom Spitalere. It's been quite the week. Getting ready for a lot of things going on here. Having computer malfunctions, which are always fun. Computer malfunctions, they're a blast. And a lot of good things like that going on. We're also getting ready to kick off the paranormal season. And tonight, Melissa's on assignment, Bob's on assignment. So the Paranormal Zone is set up for you, our audience, to listen and to learn from people who have been in the field for a lot of years. We interview people with UFO, Bigfoot, and cryptozoologists, and anything that goes bump into the night. So tonight's show is not going to be really an interview. We've been getting a lot of phone calls recently about mysteriously things happening in the Bridgewater Triangle. I had a couple guests reach out to us on the Paranormal Zone and asked us about what's going on in the Bridgewater Triangle. So we're going to do another show on the Bridgewater Triangle because there was some recent sightings that were real scary in March. But before we get to that, we want to start off with what is the Bridgewater Triangle? I'm no expert, but I've been into a lot of places in the Bridgewater Triangle. I've been down there a lot of the times. I've done a lot of research, book research. I have books galore written by very good paranormal investigators and historians about what is going on in the Bridgewater Triangle. So, the Bridgewater Triangle roughly is about 200 square miles, southeastern Massachusetts, defined by Abington in the north, Freetown southeast, Rehoboth southwest. Known for its paranormal activity, it encompasses other towns such as Bridgewater, Brockton, Taunton, Raynham, Norton, Dighton, Berkeley, Middleborough, Lakeville, Seekonk, Whitman, and of course, East and West Bridgewater. At the point you have Abington and Freetown. Rehoboth. The central towns of Bridgewater, Taunton, and Raynham, and Brockton, home of Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Surrounding within Norton, Easton, Dighton, Berkeley, Middleborough, Lakeville, Seekonk, Whitman, West and East Bridgewater, Fall River, and Marshfield. So there's some real big things going on here. A lot of area to cover in southeastern Massachusetts. The reason why is this area, this area is pretty big. I mean, it's got claims of UFO, poltergeist, Bigfoot phenomena, giant snakes. It was coined in 1978 by legendary cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman. And then later, and it was later in his book Mysterious America, in which I have an original copy and one of the new copies. Very good book if you ever want to read up on the Bridgewater Triangle and other things. So, what's been seen? Well, there's a lot of things. You have the Freetown State Forest, which reportedly seen sites of various cult and activities, including animal sacrifice, ritualistic murders committed by Satanists, as well as a number of gangland murders and suicides. So that's a scary place. Freetown State Forest and Fall River, commonly shortened as Freetown State Forest, is publicly owned land, covering roughly about 5,000 acres of land in the city of Fall River and the towns of Freetown, Lakeville, all down there in southeastern Massachusetts. The forest lies mostly in the center town of Freetown. about a third of the town, dividing Sonnet, East Freetown, Fall River's northernmost boundary. The forest includes Profile Rock, where Native Americans believe the image of Chief Massasoit, and a 227-acre Pocasset Reservation forest owned by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, operated by DCR, with their headquarters in the Sonnet. So the state acquired the land from Levy and Churchill Berkeley, 1913. The majority of the land was acquired over 20 years, beginning in the 1930s, and recently as forest included 87 acres in 2012, 29 acres in 15, 77 acres in 15. In the Sonnet, 613 acres in 15, and same with the town of Lakeville. So, I mean, it keeps growing, which is a good thing. There's roads, there's unpaved roads in there, you can go walking. Great place to go walking. There's been some fires in there. Obviously, whenever you are down that way, you have to, in the middle of a city like that. I mean, Freetown State Forest has also been known to have, some murder victims in there. In 1978, Mary Lou Aroda, 15-year-old cheerleader abducted from Raynham, Massachusetts, was killed by James M. Cater of Brockton, previously convicted of kidnapping in '67. Convicted of kidnapping in 1979, the Supreme Judicial Court overturned the verdict, convicted him in '86. The verdict again was overturned in '92 with an attempt ending in a mistrial. He ended up passing away a few years back, so conviction was upheld and he ended up passing away a few years ago. A lot of dumping, a lot of satanic cult worship. There's been, people have heard Bigfoot in there, weird animals flying over. There's a lot of stuff that actually goes on there. So that's one. Profile Rock is where the Wampanoag historical figure Anawan received the lost wampum belt from Philip. Legend has it the ghost of a man seen sitting on the rock with his legs crossed and outstretched arm. That's located in Freetown, Fall River. We actually went out to Profile Rock and we picked up some interesting stuff on that rock. Some hits with the EMF readers and a few other things a few years back. Bridgewater State University, the kids will tell you the place is haunted. Police will tell you, professors will tell you, but the administration says it isn't. Taunton State Hospital, strange paranormal experiences for years. It's also claimed that the hospital, once it went abandoned, was used for satanic cults in the 60s and 70s. The Hornbein School, one-room schoolhouse built in the 1840s, remained active until 1937. This is allegedly haunted by 4 of the inhabitants, both former school kids. The Hockomock Swamp, the large wetland in the northern part of southeast America, considered the largest freshwater swamp in the state. It served a major part of King Philip's War as a strategic base of operations for Metacom, better known as King Philip, to launch assaults on nearby English settlements. Hockomock is Algonquin term meaning a place where the spirits dwell. Hockomock Swamp was also a native burial ground, many stories and legends associated. Due to this, even modern times, it's considered many places of mystery and fear. So that's the Hockomock Swamp, again, is 16,950 acres. Largest freshwater swamp in the state. It acts as a natural food control mechanism for the region. During the 17th century, it was a fort, used as a fort during King Philip's War by the Wampanoag, predominantly the tribe natives, against the invasion of early English settlers. It played a major role in King Philip's War as a strategic base of operations for Metacom, also known as King Philip to launch assaults upon early English settlements. During the 18th, 19th century, Euro-Americans settled the swamp, thought to be worthless barren land, and attempted to drain it and convert it into profitable farmland. William Chapin of Easton was an early advocate of drainage schemes. However, the natives in this region placed high value on the swamp. For centuries, natives had relied on hunting, fishing, and the food that the swamp provided. The name Hockomock is Algonquin, meaning a place where the spirits dwell. And boy, does it dwell down there. In addition to life-sustaining activities, much as the swamp served its dual purpose, sacred burial, the Hockomock Swamp occasionally returned as the Hobomok. The Wampanoag worshipped and feared the Hobomok, aka the Hobomok. So there's Hobbomock or Hobbbamock. The chief deity of death and disease. Hockomock, composed of human souls of dead, was known to congregate in these areas like the Hockomock Swamp. These terms like Hockomock, Hobbomock became interchangeable among non-natives, referring to the swamp or spirit. There's been many things seen in there, including Bigfoot, including voices heard. So it's always very interesting, yeah, let's put it that way. All right, got everything here. Oh, I also forgot about Lake Nippatuck, known for its strange sightings of creatures. I almost forgot about that one. That's interesting. All right. Now that we talked a little bit about that, so back March 29th, 2026, at 7 p.m. in Abington, two large, scary dogs were seen in someone's backyard. They were larger than Great Danes, sharp teeth. The lady went outside with her dog, so the dog can do his doggy stuff, and these dogs started growling, howling at her, and they were bigger teeth than normal, bigger than Great Danes. So they grabbed their dog, went inside the house, and they've never been seen again, whatever they were. So if any of our listeners have seen anything, please reach out to us and let me know if you've seen anything, all right? We appreciate that. There's been recent activity in 24 and 25 of a shadow figures in residential homes on various cryptid reports investigated by media teams. That's where the red-headed hitchhiker has been seen. And there's a great book out on Route 44 done by local legendary author Thomas D'Agostino. You should check out that book. It's really, really good. Also, the Bridgewater Triangle, 200 square miles of, besides seeing that dog, there have been recent sightings of Pudgewockies in this area of southeastern Massachusetts. They're small, gray-skinned, shape-shifting humanoid tricksters. Bigfoot's usually a large, hairy, bipedal creature, and thunderbirds are giant birds with red eyes. Pudgewockies are described as 3 feet tall, troll-like creatures, often blamed for luring people off trails in the Hockomock Swamp. They're viewed as dangerous, having roots in the Wampanoag folklore and a reputation for use of poison arrows and controlling fire. Numerous sightings of 7 to 10 foot hairy bipedal creatures known as Bigfoot have been sighted in this area from the 1970s to just recently. And if you want to know more about where they've been seen down there, get a hold of a group on Facebook called Squatchachusetts. They're friends of mine, and they'll be more than happy to get you involved in the group. Thunderbirds, large prehistoric-looking birds near the Hockomock Swamp in Taunton, often described as Peter Tractail-like, reported by residents and even local police. So again, other reports have come out of this area recently too, again, of large black panthers with glowing eyes, giant snakes, and mysterious giant bear sightings. It's really interesting what's been coming out, especially of late. So that's some of the stuff. We also had some recent reported sightings over the pond down in Lakeville too. Someone had messaged me recently about that one. So there's a lot going on in the Bridgewater Triangle. A lot. So, I mean, with that knowledge, between the UFO sightings, these violent dogs have recently been sighting again, and there's been a couple spirit activities out on Route 44. Someone posted recently they saw the red-headed hitchhiker. I'm not sure about that one, but it is interesting to see what they do here and how they're going to handle the mad rush of people heading down there. I'm all excited about this and trying to get down there to do some investigating on lands that have unnatural animal sightings ranging from the unusual animals that are found within an area such as panthers and bears to more supernatural claims of giant snakes and enormous vicious dogs, just like the one that was seen March 25th, 2026, near Abington, scaring that poor guy. Paranormal humanoids, including sightings of Bigfoot, ghosts, poltergeists, and shadow people. Thunderbird sightings, they're large pleiodactyl flying creature within 10 up to 12 feet claimed to have been in the Hockomock Swamp during Taunton and Easton. So that's interesting too. Thunderbird sightings have been seen around Ben Schaefer Stadium. Oh, sorry, I sat there. Not Ben Schaefer, Foxborough Stadium. But there's Native American energy all around that. Native American curses. According to one tale, Native Americans have cursed the swamplands. Let's see. Where are we going here? Oh, yeah, so you don't know what you're going to see. Unusual animal sightings, Bigfoot, poltergeist activity, shadow people, thunderbirds, They're like pedroctile-like flying creatures with a wingspan of 12 feet, claimed to have seen in the Hockomock Swamp neighboring Taunton. Cult activity, especially of animal unifications of all types seen around the swamp, so never go in the swamp by yourself. Native American curses. According to one tale, Native American had cursed the swamp centuries ago because of a conflict between colonial settlers. A revered object to the Wampanoag people was best known to make the Wampanoag belt. Was lost during King Philip's War. Legend says it's in the area owes paranormal unrest and the fact is lost to Native Americans. So there are Native American curses. Pudgewockies are local Wampanoag people considering little people by the Wampanoag and to be dangerous. They are especially associated with Freetown State Forest, and trust me, I've seen them at the Freetown State Forest. It is quite interesting. So that's another thing that goes on deep in the Barries and Bales of the Bridgewater Triangle. There's been a lot of misfortune and murder down there. So Mary Lou Marunda in 1978, 15-year-old cheerleader, was found murdered and tied to a tree at Freetown State Forest. James Cater linked to the murder of Manado. The Ripper murders of the 1980s, 7 women including Kathleen McKilkin, 78, Beatrice Quartermarsh, 84, were murdered and their bodies were found in the rear of the area. Ritual activities of the 90s, reports about cults being reported cult activities were going on all the way through the 1990s. Fatal misfortune area is considered cursed by some, legends by Pudgewockies. So there's a lot going on, a lot to digest, and like I said, let me just give you a quick update on everything because things are changing even in my reports. We've had sightings of UFOs and UAPs flying all over the place around the triangle. So that's one thing we do have to watch for. We've had plenty of animal sightings, just like this one here, March 29th. That wasn't that long ago. It's very scary. We also, so you had that girl went missing. You had the Ripper murders of the 87 women, including Kathy McKilkin, 78, Bernice Quartermarsh, and 84 were murdered with their bodies found near the area. Ritualistic activities of the 1990s, reports of cult activity, including animal mutilation at Freetown State Forest. Fatal misfortune. The area is considered cursed by some with legends of Pudgewockies, small hostile humanoid creatures that supposedly causing people to fall to their deaths off of cliffs. So we really got a lot of stuff going on here. It's quite interesting, folks. This is something that I don't take lightly. So So also too, there's been UFO, unnatural animal sightings ranging from unusual reports of animals found in the area, such as panthers and bears, or supernatural claims of giant snakes and vicious dogs. Thunderbird sightings in the late 60s, early 70s. Cult activity. So there's a cult activity, animal mutilation, various instances of animal mutilations, particularly on Freetown, Fall River, and the local PD, which had pretty much singled everybody out. Which cow was botched in the woods the other way, which group were discovered clearing protestily mutilated as part of ritual sites. So this area has a lot of ritual sites, cow mutilations, human mutilations. Native Americans also cursed the land. According to one tale, when Native Americans cursed the swamp centuries ago because So with that, I mean, it is interesting. So now you got all this activity, all this cursed land, and you go, wow, what else are we going to come up today in the Bridgewater Triangle? What's this one here? Let's see what this one, okay. There's been sightings in the swampy 6,950 of Freetown, of the Hockomock Swamp and the Freetown Fall River State Forest. Witnesses describe a large hairy creature, sometimes called Masquatch, seen near the highways and wooded areas of the described creatures with broad tail and muscular builds. Associated phenomenon Bigfoot sightings are part of a wide array of high strangers, including UFOs, thunderbirds, or giant birds, and ghostly figures. These sightings have been documented for decades and referred to the area as a paranormal vortex. So this has been around a long, long time, and it is real interesting what goes on, how much is lore, how much is history. I know the lore can be fun being a guide, but I rather listen to the history than the ore. And the history of this stuff fascinates me. It goes all the way back to before we were here. And a good prime example of that is the Bridgewater Triangle. It's at least 8,000 years old. It's been through a few birthday parties, and life seems to go on being happy. Oh, sorry, not being happy. These spirits, some of these spirits would move along, and some moved along happy, and others did not, and others came back for mischief and to find out what else is here. So I find this all very interesting when it's all said and done. And with all the bipedal creatures stalking the Bridgewater Triangle, again, I just got a message from one of our listeners saying there was a possible UFO sighting last night right in the Bridgewater Freetown line area. They were seen in Bridgewater and in the Freetown area last night. They were another UFO-shaped UFO sighting over these towns. These towns are getting sightings on a pretty regular basis. It is pretty interesting and cool at times that we can be so lucky to live in an area that we can continue to research and go down and visit what we call the Bridgewater Triangle. My name is Tom Spitalere, and we're signing off the Paranormal Zone tonight. I want to thank everybody who sent me a couple messages knowing I was going to do a quick talk on this tonight. And we'll be back next week with another guest and my co-host. So thank you guys very much for tuning in, and I'm heading back to my crypt. Good night, everybody.